tube today. The reason why is because today I'm going to read Higurashi no Naku Koroni. Oh, that reminds me, if I'm on Twitch right now. Hold on. Just give me a moment. Okay, me. Stop. Oh my god, what part of Higurashi am I on? Let's play Higurashi part. Hold on, let me go on my YouTube. What is this? Okay, cool. No, shut up, me. Be quiet. Shh, shh. What part is that? Part 6, okay. I never remember what am I doing. Oh shit, this time Higurashi. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done this. But yeah, I'm gonna start reading again. Alright. I have some time. I've been really busy. I mean, yes, I've been playing video games, but for other people who haven't noticed, but I've mostly been really stressed out and stuff. And life transitions too. I've had a lot of things going on, so. Let's start playing the next part. I want to progress as far as I can, as soon as I can. Start. Wait, what the hell are you doing? No, don't. No. Wait. Stupid. Oh, and I'm not gonna respond to comments, okay? Sorry. What are you doing? You're supposed to load it. What the hell? Shh. Bad. A few days had passed since the incident. During that time, either Mio was busy or Rika had to help with the festival preparations, so he couldn't get everybody together for club activities. Even though I thought I would never want to participate again after the years it shaved off my life each time, not having it only made my heart grow fonder. I really am not honest with myself. Today we finally had our club activities again. These weren't the same old club activities. It was called the WATANAGASHI 5 Demon Firefight. And it was one of the biggest events in our club. Keiji, does this yukata still fit you? Can you try it on for a second? Mom pulled out an old dusty yukata. Nah, I don't need a yukata. Those are embarrassing. I'll just go in my normal clothes. Keiji. Well, okay, fine. That's acceptable. You don't even look good anyway. I don't even like you that much. You can just go in your normal clothes. The girls look better in yukata anyway. But this is a festival. Wear it, okay? Ran and the others said regular clothes are just fine. If I was the only one wearing yukata, it'd be even more embarrassing. I put on the same old vest as usual. Yeah, it'd probably be hard to play games too. I'll be going with Ren and the others, so you don't need to worry about me. Is that so? I'll be going with Dad when he wakes up. Dad let out a loud snore from the sofa. From how it looks, he must have pulled an all-nighter last night. He just finished sending in his manuscript, so he might not wake up for a while. It seems my dad writes for art magazines sometimes too. I've never read it though. I wonder if my dad is a really famous artist. Since his own son is saying something like that, I can't imagine that he's selling all that well. Wow, I really thought being in my room would mean I would not hear so many noisy noises. Great. Just fucking great. No matter where I go in this house, everything will always be noisy. I'm pissed off. Okay, sorry about that. But he's able to feed a family of 3, and my life isn't exactly full of hardships. It could be that he's some master painter, and I didn't know about it. You know, this is why if I ever try to do voice acting, I could probably only do short clips, because this is why. I don't like waiting. I don't have the patience to sit through people's noisy ass bullshit when I want to sit through and like enjoy what I'm reading or speaking aloud. Because this is pissing me off right now. Alright. Keiichi, are you home? Uh-oh. It was already time. I didn't want them coming here, so I was planning on leaving early and waiting outside. Oh my, it's Rena. Thank you for always looking after Keiichi. Ma'am, he's also been looking out for... Why are you blushing from just meeting my mom? Don't get all flustered. It really doesn't feel right. Let's go, Rena. Since Rena would continue to space off, I left her here. I grabbed her hand and dragged her out. Rena, look after Keiichi for me. Sorry, I'm not reading honorifics. Yes, ma'am. Even if it means I must sacrifice myself. Why don't you do it right now? I would die for you. But oh, you will, Keiichi. Sorry. She waved back even as I was dragging her away. This is a joke. Okay. Okay, Kei-chan. You hungry today? We'll take care of those stalls. We'll take care of all of that. These stalls. Blech. Let me try again. Okay, Kei-chan. You hungry today? We'll take care of that. These stalls. You thought I'd let myself get full knowing the club activities will involve these stalls? Wouldn't have it any other way. Where are Rika and Sadako? Are they already at the temple? Yep, Rika's a festival committee member after all. Sadako's probably with her as well. I see. Alright! Let's make some noise today. Yeah! We are already in high spirits with just the 3 of us here. It was way more lively at the Furude Shrine than the last time I came, far exceeding my expectations. Throngs of people were crammed between rows of the market stalls lined with colorful paper patterns. Despite that, it was actually quite enjoyable. There sure are lots of people here. I can't believe they all live in Hinamizawa. Everyone attends the Watanagashi. I think about half the village is here. It's not just that. Municipal and youth councils from neighboring towns and villages advertise this event as well. That's right. There aren't that many students at our school, but there are lots of kids here today. It just doesn't feel like a festival unless there are kids running around after all. That's true, I agree. Hello and good evening. These 2 knew everybody we came across. Of course I greeted them as well, but I wasn't familiar with everybody yet. Oh, Rena! Thanks for the food you brought me a while back. My son loved it. He said it was delicious. It was nothing at all.
glad he liked it. Say hello to Kazuma for me, please.
Hey! If it isn't Sonozaki, I'm in charge of the stand this year, so make sure you come visit. Pops, have you gotten fatter? You'll end up having a heart attack with a gut like that. Oh, this kid here is new. Are you one of her underclassmen? He's one of my members. An upcoming hopeful. If you cross him, he might crush your stand in one night. You've got a little missy seal of approval, I see. I hope you take it easy on me. As you can imagine, Mio was chatting away with the old guys running the stalls.
Mii-chan is really energetic after all. She's really popular with the older men.
I think Rena's pretty popular too. Being cute and all. That was, of course, so long as her little condition didn't flare up. But as long as she's blushing quietly, she's pretty cool.
I'm popular with some people? Really? Really?
Yeah, that's how I react to having 1,300 people follow me on TikTok. Yeah, that's how I feel too. With some people, I evaded giving her a straight answer only by roughly tussling her hair. The stallkeepers came all the way from town. It's not really a festival without them, after all. So we're going to mess with them now? I don't care what kind of match it is, I'm gonna win it!
Oh yes! I'll try too! Hey! You're all very late! It's unacceptable to keep a lady waiting, Keiichi!
Oh, my bad. So, where's this lady I've kept waiting?
What did you say?!
Alright, Sadako was in top form as well. Seems as if she was excited about being able to get everybody in the club together for the first time in a while.
Rika! Cute!
Rena let out an elated sigh. It seemed the real lady had made her appearance.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to Keiichi as well.
She had to single him out. No, Rika, you wonder why what happened in Onikakushi? This is why. Well, good. Whoa! Looking good! You're as sharp again as this year.
Cute! Gonna take you home!
Rika was wearing a Shrine Maiden outfit. Yep. Rena's little outburst was completely understandable. Rika's clothes sure look like a big deal. The real deal. Okay, let me try again. Rika's clothes sure look like the real deal. Is that a real Shrine Maiden outfit? My grandmother made them by hand. They're quite authentic.
Rika has an important task to do at the end of the festival, so she's wearing this.
I see. Rika was on the executive committee because she performed all the Shrine Maiden rituals for the festival.
My work is only during the finale of the festival, so I can still play for a while. But we cannot afford to waste any time! Let us begin! Alright!
It felt good to wander around the festival with just the 5 of us. Mio called everyone over to the stand that caught her attention and proposed a rather odd competition. Takoyaki eating race. Everyone has to buy their own. Ready? Go! A standard in the vendor... Sorry, it's been a while. A standard in the vendor stall. This takoyaki stand. What was especially standard for these kinds of events was the fact that they were simply balls of dough. Takoyaki in name only. It burns!
Are you okay, Keiichi? Have some water! My, eating those scalding takoyaki whole is suicide.
Oh, we shouldn't say that. I guess the trick is to buy some ready-made ones that have already been left here for a while. Okay, let me reread that part. My! Eating those scalding takoyaki? What are you thinking? I guess the trick is to buy the ready-made ones that have already been left there for a while. Note to self, you need to edit that out for YouTube.
They really don't taste good.
Oh crap, I'm coughing. I'm having all kinds of upsorts today. The stall next to it was the shaved ice stand. It was still a bit too early in the season for that. But right then it didn't matter. Let's do shaved ice this time. It's a shaved ice eating race. Ready? Go!
Shaved ice eating race? I can't. As long as you can melt it a bit with your body heat then. It's so cold!
Not smart. This old man ordered it with plenty of syrup. It'll melt quickly when it's mixed up. Those stooges were too late. The moment they chose to tackle it head on was their downfall. Ugh. Finished! Kei-chan's done? That was too fast.
It could be. Keiichi, you didn't have water from the goldfish tank behind you, did you? That can't taste very good.
Ew. Next to that was another old favorite, a cotton candy stand.
Why don't we do this one next? Of course, it's a speed eating contest. Hey, how do you eat cotton candy quickly? How?
Asago's mark, Mio and Sadako and I compressed the cotton candy with our bare hands. The time it took to stick the whole thing in our mouths, 3 seconds. I expected Sadako to figure it out, but I didn't think Kei-chan would too. I can't have you treat me like a newbie forever, can I?
It won't taste very good.
Rika also crushed it between her hands and stuck it in her mouth.
This is probably the only place in Japan where people eat cotton candy like this.
I think only Rena's cotton candy was happy with how it was eaten. But it felt like we ended up doing stuff like eat noodles through the nose contest or human water pump on the goldfish scoop at this rate things were going. This old man will probably still win too.
I'm simply no match for Mia when it comes to eating repulsive things.
Yeah, seriously. Ew. What's up with you guys? Are you telling me you don't want to have a blue Hawaii top yakisoba eating contest? Yes! Shake, shake. Both Sako and I shook our heads in unison.
Can we have a game that doesn't involve food this time? Can we?
Rena's proposal was a godsend. It was about time we played a different kind of game. It also seemed like neither Rena or Rika were good at speed eating or gorging themselves. Okay, Rena, I'll let you pick out the next game. Anything's fine.
Well then, I'm going to be the judge. Find cute things on the festival grounds. You'll have 1 minute. Fine by me. I know exactly what Rena likes.
Alright. I think I can win with that.
Ready? Go! Oh!
Why aren't
Keiichi and Rika starting? Why not?
Mio and Sadako dashed off madly, but Rika and I calmly stayed right where we were.
Could it be you already found it? The cute thing? We've already found it. Keiichi too?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? I can't wait!
Both Rika and I stood motionless for a few moments before Mio and Sadako returned. This is probably the first time we've gone head to head like this.
It will be the first.
Rika, you expect to win with that, huh?
I am a member of this club as well. Win by any means is our society's third rule.
Rika sneered to the best of her ability. You're on! Both Rika and Mion and Rika... Am I so bad? Okay. Both Mion and Sadako came back, each with their own plan of attack stuffed in their arms.
Okay then. Let's go in order. Let's start with the club president, Michan.
Too bad, you guys. I'm ending this now. This old man brought this. Where'd she get those? They were old tin-shaped diamond signs. Pleb curry, snake oil, incense, and oromonen seed. How about this? That's very understated. A little too understated, Mio. I used to see those stuck up on barbed wire fences. They were more nostalgic than cute. Can you explain what part of this is cute? But there were puffs of smoke, noisily shooting out of Rena's nose and ears like a steam train. Oh, I didn't get it.
I shall be up next. It's this.
His hand-drawn poster from the Lay Society roasted corn stall. It was a really bad sketch done by a housewife. An anthropomorphic roasted corn drawn without any sort of real plan. Its very existence provided a sense of sorrow to the viewer.
Wheep!
That was the sound of blood jetting out of Rena's nose. It seemed to have been raised higher than Mio's. I really didn't get it. It feels like your artistic sense is a little avant-garde by about 5 eons.
Those were nothing but mass-produced signs after all. They had no chance against something hand-drawn.
I couldn't even begin to follow the way those guys were thinking.
Then I will be next.
Next is Rika, is it? What can you even do without anything? Did you and both Sadako forget? If Rika felt like it, she could simply... After moving back 10 yards, she began waddling up to Rena, seeing that both Mion and Sadako gasped. Oh no! Too late! Rika tripped over nothing and lay motionless after falling down. Rena hurried over to her.
Rika, are you alright? Alright?
Rika had a bump on her forehead and tears welled from her eyes. Only her fingers peeked out from her sleeves. This was the vital part. The palms of her hands were covered by her sleeves. She made such a single sound.
Me.
I completely forgotten that! The plan I had personally used. Rena's face had went red, her head bobbing back and forth with excitement. She embraced Rika and began rubbing her cheek against her. I'd expect no less from her. Not a single element was overlooked. Shrine maiden, brink of crime. Me, it was perfect. A simple trip transcended into pure moe. Now this is what you call art? Oh, little kid, I'm not saying that, I'm sorry. Kei-chan has a pretty weird definition of art. I'll just pretend the sharp sting of those words cutting through me like a razor was a figment of my imagination. Rika turned her gaze to me with a dawning smile as she was caressed by Rena, who was in full cute mode.
Now, Keiichi, can you beat me?
That cold smile is frightening, Rika. It must be just my imagination, but I see a demon in her sometimes. Kei-chan seems to have his own plan of attack. I wonder what he's going to show her.
I also wish to observe the play that Keiichi will make. Could it be? Is Keiichi going to give a performance?
I basked in their pointed stares. I pulled Rena, who was giving no sign of canceling out cute mode, away from Rika.
Oh, cute thing! Keiji, let's go!
I'll show you something even cuter, so just hold on for now. Keiichi, no!
Huh? Oh, something even cuter?
But it's a bit too crowded here. Let's go back there. Rena looked very surprised as I pulled her behind the shrine. No!
I cannot fathom what Keiichi could possibly be planning.
This is Keishan after all. No, it couldn't be.
Keep on fighting, yeah.
Don't show that, Keiichi! After a bit I returned. And after a bit that, so did Rena, dragging her feet. There's no way that scoundrel did something innocent to little Rena. Mio and Asako passed by me, heading straight to Rena.
What exactly did he do to you?
For a moment, Rena was too dazed to realize someone was talking to her.
Oh, it's me-chan.
Rena, are you alright? Did Keisha do anything to you?
No, he didn't do anything strange to me. This is quite severe. Exactly what did Keiichi show you? It was so cute.
Cute? What did he show you, Rena? Rena let out a really long howl. Her eyes sparkled as she spoke.
Cute! So cute! It was Keiichi's little fur seal!
Ah! In the blink of an eye, Rio Sako's elbow slashed into my face.
Huh? What?
Showing Rena something so dirty.
You sick pervert! Shall I have you beaten to oblivion?
Wait, you've got it all wrong! A dark feeling flowed from Mio and Sadako. It was no good. They're gonna kill me!
Mi-chan, I'm not sure what's going on, but you've got it all wrong. You see, Keiichi had... It's a fur seal keychain.
Rika stuck her hand into my pocket and pulled out my keychain. Eh?
He said he made it long ago for one of his summer school assignments. He said he doesn't show it to others often because it's embarrassing. Yeah! So small and cute!
Oh God.
He tried his best to make it. It's so wonderful!
Oh! This old man thought you meant it was Keiichi's cute little fur seal.
I'd expect no less from Mio. You misconstrue things in the wildest ways.
They slung insults at each other and looked like they were ready to tear into each other at any second. I beg of you, if I'm in the clear, would you mind getting off me? We were interrupted by the flash of a camera. Hey guys! You all seem energetic as usual. It was Tomitake. As I lay crumpled on the ground, Mion and Sadako continued to bicker above me. Rika was patting on me on the head, and Rena was still in cute mode. It was probably quite a lively scene.
It's a fine evening indeed, although it's rather poor etiquette to photograph a lady without her permission.
That's right. At least you don't really need Sadako's permission. Sadako dug her heel into me.
Good evening. You're heading back tomorrow, aren't you? Were you able to take a lot of good photos?
Thanks to you, I've got plenty of good shots. Tonight's the last we can see of old Tomitake, isn't it? It's such a shame. up and have your major breakout soon. Just as rude as ever, aren't you? I really am sad I won't be able to hear the voice of yours for almost half a year. Be sure to have as much fun as you can tonight. You'll be back in Tokyo tomorrow after all. That's true. It'll be another 6... Ah! Huh? Mẹ? You're going somewhere? Yeah. Okay, stick right now then. Sorry, break time for a bit. No. I'm making this, it's 12. Of course it's lunchtime. Okay, I'll read a lot more. I'll just cut out whatever interruptions I have. So anyway. That's true. It'll be another 6 months. Until I can enjoy another night where I can see the stars. Tomitake looked up at the night sky cheerfully. At the moment, even though he was smiling, I sensed a bit of sadness. Why don't you move here, Tomitake, in Hinamizawa? Tomitake was speechless. It's not very convenient here. No shops or recreational spots. There might not be anything really here, but you know... Everyone knew what I was trying to say. Tomitake was also well aware. So Rena, Mion, Sadako, and Rika. None of them butted in. I've only been here for less than a month, so I don't really know everything about it. Normally I'm a really talkative guy, but in situations like this I'm at a loss for words. Even though this was all happening in such a boisterous setting. It felt like all the background noise was fading into the distance. This place is probably... Tomitake rested his hand on me gently, silencing me. Thank you. Keiichi, Mion, and Rena, Sadako, and Rika. Tomitake's smile was so slight, it looked as if it was going to crumble at any minute. But it was warm. I also think it would be great if I could live here. Those might have been cruel words. For a kid who didn't need to worry about working to feed himself. A hand touched my back. It was Rena.
Keiichi, you shouldn't pick on adults. It's not nice.
The background clamor of the festival returned.
We won't be seeing him for a while after all. We need to make sure Tomitake also enjoys tonight.
And Rena smiled. The mood instantly got brighter. That's true. I think I'll do just that.
Hey, Mi-chan, how about it? Can we let Tomitake in on our club activities?
That's a great idea! Or so I thought, but Mion had a snobbish look on her face. One of the requirements for membership is residence in Hinamizawa, you see?
Come on, Mi-chan. Just for today, don't be mean.
Well, he does come around every year. I'll make him an honorary citizen. Whoa! Yay! Oh, yeah. And now then, I wonder if this aged fellow well past his prime will be a match for me. I'll have to go into this and edit a lot.
Let's have him show us the wisdom of a mature adult.
Can you keep up with us youngins? Tomitake stepped back slightly at our audacious grins. I, Mio Sonozaki Club President, do hereby authorize honorary citizen Tomitake's entry into our club. Her words were quickly drowned out by our cheers. But what do you mean by club? What our club does, you see, in order to cope with our complicated society, we perform various activities with various rules. Sometimes they're in your favor, and sometimes they work against you.
I'm pretty weak, so I prefer you not single me out. Let's try to get along.
If you wish to mock our childish games, then this will be the perfect opportunity. We'll leave you with nothing. We won't even leave the hairs on your butt. Oh my god.
So it's a club where we play games together.
Of course, Rika was the only one to give an answer that made sense. Alright, just what I wanted. I'll take you up on that challenge. Don't be too rough with me, my mentors. Tomitake got riled up and did a victory pose like he was 10 years younger. That's perfect. We continued walking through the festival with Mion in the front. Now we looked like a family of 6. It had some intensity to it. Same rules as always. The loser will of course be subject to a penalty. Tomitake was a bit surprised, but to us it was the same as always, regardless of how terrible a penalty it was.
Just don't lose!
Rena was always brimming with determination. She just didn't have any intention of losing. That's true. I tousled Rena's hair to lighten the mood. She giggled to hide her embarrassment. I see. This is what it means to feel like a kid again. Tomitake whispered that to nobody in particular. At that moment, we heard an old man calling out in a strong voice. Looking over, we realized it was the man that Mion had greeted right before the festival. You're here, little Miss Sonozaki. Seems you brought quite the crowd. We came to eradicate your entire stall. His stall was a shooting gallery. It was the usual setup where you had to knock down the prize you wanted with a cork gun. The rules are simple. 3 shots. The winner is whoever gets the biggest prize. Everyone shouted their agreement. There was no need to consider how to win, since the condition for victory was simply size. The biggest prize at the stall.
That teddy bear. Cute.
Rena was gazing longingly at the large stuffed animal. It was intentionally placed on an unsteady platform, so it was possible to get it if you hit the right spot. It's magnificently set up to make someone think that.
Not bad, Keiichi. I figured you wouldn't see through this scam instantly.
The most logical course of action would be to aim for candy or a doll. The intent analysis had already begun. In this club, you'll get eaten alive if you don't come prepared. Everything hinges on the plan that you come up with before the main event. At some point, a big crowd had gathered around us, making a big fuss. There was this much of a following for our club's and famous event?
Knocking that bear down ensures a win.
Only 3 shots. They used them all to just try. That'd be rough. Hey, I have other customers waiting, you know. Who's up first? First one has the advantage of being able to aim for the easier prizes. It's dangerous to compete without knowing the gun's quirks. Tomitake's take on the situation was pretty good. He gets what our club is about.
Well then, to be fair, how about using rock, paper, scissors to decide? How about it?
That's really the only way. Rock, paper, scissors! After a couple matches, it ended with Mio being first. I didn't want to end up first. Ah, well. I'll just think of it as a handicap. Gramps, gun! Here you go. The shooting range guy handed her a rifle. Mio looked over it intently. She didn't forget to check the cork bullet either. Okay. This gun is brand new, isn't it? No faults? Not bad! Mio raised the gun in one swift motion. It was completely different from her careful inspection. She was shooting from the hip. Fire! Reload. 3 candy boxes fell, one after another. Big hall. The crowd paused in a moment of awe and then erupted in cheers.
Whoa! Awesome! That was quite good!
Tomitaki was at a loss for words after seeing such shooting prowess.
Amazing, Mii-chan! 3!
Her accuracy was incredible. Her choice of targets wasn't bad either. The 3 Mion had gone after were fairly large and pretty easy to knock over. They were all targets with very high return on investment. Who's up next? Sadako? Careful! The bullets are light. And next was Sadako. The rifle looked a bit big for her lithe body. It didn't seem like she had any problem with the weight.
Of course! I shall aim for the grand prize!
She proclaimed that she was going after the teddy bear. Damn, Sadako, such a bold move.
The moment she knocks it over, she's guaranteed to be in first.
Good luck, Sadako! Sadako was the opposite of Mion. She aimed at the target quite carefully and squeezed the trigger.
Ah! These bullets are too light!
The first 2 bullets struck the bear in the torso, but only shifted a bit. You need to aim higher toward the head or it won't work. Sadako's 3rd bullet wasn't aimed at the bear, but the candy box below its arm.
I hate to say it, but it appears the bear is just too much for me.
She went boldly after the big catch, but since she switched over to the less impressive prey at the last crowd, the crowd only gave a strained laugh. Were they laughing because she lacked the courage? These fools know nothing. A fine attempt, Sadako. You could have gotten better. You've gotten better. Oops. Let me try again. A fine attempt, Sadako. You've gotten better. The palm of Mion's outstretched hand went plump as tapped down lightly on Sadako. She appeared to be just talking hot air, but this was actually completely calculated. Damn that Sadako. Just to avoid being in last place, she dared to switch over to an easy target. Without shame or honor. Magnificent.
I'll allow you to take the bear, Rena. I pray for your victory. Okay. Thanks so much, Sadako. Oh, bear's so cute.
Rena was up next. She couldn't hit the broadside of the barn as a regular Rena. She said that bear was cute. I wonder how Rena will do. I hope she's able to hit at least one. You're underestimating Rena, Tomitake. It's Rena, you know? It's Ryugu Rena, you know? If it was to get that bear. Tomitake wheeled to see what was all the commotion the spectators were making was about. If it was to get that bear, she'd be able to shoot through a pinhole. The one known as Ryugu Rena could do it.
It's shaking. Oh, cute.
Rena couldn't hide her excitement over the bear's slow rocking. Now Rena couldn't lose.
Not bad, Rena. The less collected you become,
the stronger you get. Another big cheer. Rena's bullet hit the bear's forehead again. Not enough. The bear seemed to wobble more than before.
But it might not be possible.
You never know. With the Rena's skill, it might be. But Tomitake was just as excited as the crowd. Rika's analysis was not swayed by emotion. If Rena had 10 more shots, she could surely knock it over. But with just not one more, no matter how you looked at it, no, go! The crowd let out a dejected groan. She had shot her in the forehead 3 times. It was a bit late, but they gave her a good round of applause for her attempt.
Oh, bear, take him home. Oh.
She should be praised for her valor, but she had no trophies to show for it. At the last moment, the man flicked one of the candy boxes with his finger and handed it to Rena. This is for you, little lady.
Huh? You're giving this to me? Huh?
The gods wouldn't forgive me if I let you go home empty-handed after such a display. There was another shower of applause. Rena turned bright red. I pulled her back over to us by hand. You did a good job. Your Cubemo really surprised me.
Oh, I really wanted Mr. Bear.
It was easy to see that it only needed a little more to be knocked over. Rena had done quite a lot for me. I still needed to pay her back for that delicious picnic. All right then, I'll get to it and give it to you. What? Tomitake had stolen the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. Please, Tomitake. Good luck.
Damn you, old man Tomitake! Steal the good parts for yourself. A small hand stretched over and fell gently on my head before I was overcome with frustration.
You keep on fighting too, Keiji, okay?
Tomitake carefully studied the bear. Setting his sights, he shouldered the rifle while holding on to the other 2 shots in his hand. Why is he doing that? Yes, no doubt. Tomitake's aiming for... Time between the shots was short. It was meaningless to shoot again once it stopped shaking, so Tomitake was relying on rapid fire to win the battle. It was visibly wobbling much more than it ever had before. That was all. It still didn't fall over.
How too bad!
All of Rena's momentary expression when watching it sway violently turned to a dejected sigh. I really thought it would work.
It seems that since you're a man, you will not be receiving any candy.
That was it. It meant Tomitake had no spoils of war. So both Keiji and Rika could just shoot down a small, easy prize and avoid being dead last. Avoiding the loser, huh? Oh, sorry about that. It's your turn, Keiji. Best of luck. I was the 5th shooter. I took the rifle from Tomitake. But I took the ruthless route, as Miran had suggested, that I go for a small target. Except, when I picked up the rifle, I definitely got a feeling from it. It was burning passion. Passed down to me by Tomitake. The regret of not being man enough to fell the bear that Rena wanted. Yes, that's right. If I didn't aim for the bear, then I wouldn't be a man! After all, that was my promise to Rena.
Huh? What? Promise? What?
To shoot down that bear and give it to Rena. That one.
You mean...
The crowd went wild when they saw our conversation. Cool! Nichan, you got balls, man! That's not it, fine men of the crowd. If I didn't do this, then Rena might mug the old man running the stall on his way home. No, that's not it at all. Why can't I just express my honest feelings?
Keiji surely talks the talk, but how do you intend to bring down the bear? Rena and Tomitake's shots did make it tilt a bit, but I think finishing the job will be difficult. Keiji.
If only there was some way to shoot faster, I'd be able to fit upon more power on the sway from each hit.
Good luck, Keiji!
After taking 2 deep breaths, I shouted over to the guy. 2 more rifles! Huh? The crowd murmured amongst themselves.
I wonder what Keiji's up to. One person can't fire 3 rifles at once.
I get it. Nice thinking, Keishan. Mia was able to figure it out magnificently. Basically, what was taking the most time was reloading the shot.
That's right! And then by putting 3 preloaded rifles next to each other.
Tomitake went silent, peering at me and the bear through his lens. His photographer's blood predicted a miracle will occur. The crowd finally picked up on what I was planning. Oh, so that's the first time that word pops up, huh? Interesting. They let out a great cheer. They chanted my name. Keiji! Rapid fire is the key. If I miss, all's for naught. After letting out a deep breath, I paused. Relax. Now! That moment, it felt like time itself had stopped. I felt like I could see the trajectory of the bullets. Hit it. And knock it down! The first shot hit the bear on its head. The second. The third! The bear swayed hard, and then... Woo! The cheers began before the stuffed animal even finished falling off the shelf. The guy caught it before it hit the ground and tossed it over to me. Who actually knocked it over? You got me. Amazing! Congratulations, Keiichi!
Keiichi finally learned how to use his head. I see you in a slightly better light now.
I didn't do it all by myself. Everyone hit it, and those small bits together brought it down. This trophy belongs to all of us. In the manga, it was both Keiichi and Tomitake together. Right, this is from all of us working together.
Me didn't hit it a single time.
After holding up the teddy bear like it was a championship trophy, I handed it to Rena. Here, this is from me. No, from everyone. Thanks for always making your delicious lunches. Rena, thinking she was never actually going to get it, was momentarily speechless.
I can't, Keiichi. This is everyone's. After all, how?
In that case, I was the one who knocked it down. And it's mine. It's mine, so I'm giving it to Rena. I pushed the stuffed animal toward her again. This time, she embraced it and accepted it. You watched out for me ever since I moved here, after all. I'm really grateful, you see. Thanks a lot.
How? Keiichi, thanks so much.
Rena dove at me. Dove. Mio told me a few days later that Rena kissed me. I didn't realize it at all during that excitement at the time. I remember what I was trying to say to Tomitake earlier. There really isn't much of anything here. There are lots of things you can't find anywhere else. I gained a lot from coming to Hinamizawa, especially at that moment. The crowd's cheers echoed on and on. From the altar set up from the front of the shrine, the drums sounded with a booming echo. It was the finale of the festival.
I'll be going off ahead then.
Uh-oh. I need to go and get myself a good spot, too. Well then, everyone, see you in a bit. Both Rika and Tomitake gave their farewells and disappeared into the crowd.
I wish both of you the best in your endeavors. Now, shall we be off?
Yeah, might as well go see Rika's charming figure. Let's go. Yeah. Huh? Where's Rena? What are you doing?
Keiichi! Mi-chan, save me!
She was carrying such a ridiculously large stuffed animal. She was being carried by the flow of people. What is she doing? She must have her hands full taking care of that bear. So I'll leave Rena in your care, Kei-chan. I have my hands full taking care of Sadako.
Who would want to be looked after by you, Mion? Ouch! Please don't pull on my arm.
Before losing sight of Mion, I grabbed the back of Rena's collar.
Keiichi, not there. Don't grab me there.
Oh, he's so bossy. Where can I grab them?
How?
I didn't feel ashamed at all. Rena was ashamed enough for the both of us. I grabbed onto Rena's hand and dashed after Mion and the others. We're gonna be late. Let's hurry up.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized Rena's hand was so delicate. Maybe she needed a bit more exercise and nutrition? That wasn't what I meant, not at all. My ears burned. I tried to keep calm. I repeated the phrase, keep it together, my Barikechi, in my mind. It didn't look like I'd be able to anytime soon. I really didn't want Rena to see my face right then. So I pushed onwards, dragging her along without looking back even once. There was already a huge group of people gathered at the altar in front of the shrine. The fire at the altar made it as bright as midday, just as hot. There was a pile of futons warded with sanctified rope in front of the altar. Come to think of it, they did say it was a festival where they did something with the cotton and the futons.
Keiichi! Rena!
We're over here! Sako waved her hand. Sorry! Making our way through the mass of people, we reached the spot they saved. How was it? Were you able to have a little bit of excitement with Rena? You punk! So that was what your plan was? Instead of replying, Mio gave us a perverse grin. How was it, Rena? Was Kei-chan's hand bigger than you thought it would be? Rena turned bright red, puffs of smoke shooting out of her. I heard something slice through the air and turned around to see Mio on the ground with a welt on her face. Mio, when were you hit? Between the howl of her howl, I think. Rena, it's not good to punch your friends to hide your embarrassment.
I didn't hit her. Whatever. Howl.
The thunderous beat of the drum echoed, silencing the crowd.
You must all be quiet. It's beginning.
It was a solemn ritual. Rika entered dressed as a shrine maiden, followed by the members of the municipal committee. The elders all looked at Rika and clasped their hands in praise. The only thing allowed to disturb the profound silence was the flash from Tomitake's camera. What's the big thing Rika's holding?
A hoe that's used for this festival. It's a sacred farming tool that only the shrine maiden can touch.
It was an awkward shape for a piece of farm equipment, not uncommon for something used in rituals. After reciting a Shinto prayer, Rika approached the pile of futons scattered at the altar. She swung the hole skillfully, flogging it into the futons. Each and every little movement of this performance probably had to be done in a certain way. Without a doubt, this was a ritual. What's next? Airing out futons?
She's purifying futons that absorb illnesses from people over the winter.
So when Kei-chan said airing out futons, he wasn't completely wrong. Rika's face was already dripping with sweat. That hoe was probably really heavy. She staggered side to side with the momentum of each swing. Sako looked on silently, lending her support. Worried?
Rika practiced every single day with a mochi hammer. She will certainly prevail.
Certainly. Sako's hands were sweaty. Whenever Rika started to sway a little, she held her breath. Why wasn't Mio a candidate to be the shrine maiden? It feels wrong having Rika swinging around something so heavy. I'd do if they asked me, and well, it's not something anyone could just do. That's true. Shrine maidens need to be pure after all. Gah! Mio drove her elbow into my side. With the thud of her big drum, Rika gave a solemn bound and descended from the altar. That triggered a round of generous applause. After the Shinto priests have raised up the cleansed futons like a portable altar, all spectators stood up. Following after the priests, we all marched on at a moderate pace. They descended the shrine's giant stairs in a line. What's happening now? Rushing the futons in the river?
Watanagashi means setting adrift. Caught in a drift,
This music was not in the original, so this song appears much later in Higurashi. The process continued right up to the bank of the stream. A fire was stoked high, and it was bright as day here too. People started crowding around it and clamoring.
Alright, get in line. Line up, Keiichi.
I wondered what was up. Maybe we get some holy wine? Red and white and bean buns?
It's not food. I said it was cotton.
Ah, but of course. They didn't call it Watanagashi for nothing. I finally understood. The municipal committee members pulled out the cotton from inside the futon, balled it up like mochi, and handed it to people. Rena dove into the line and brought some for me as well. We proceeded to the bank of the stream.
This is your first time, Keiichi. Just copy what I do.
She held the cotton in her hand, waving her hand as to purify it. She touched it to her forehead, chest, and navel, and both thighs.
You do this 3 times, and silently give thanks to Oyashiro.
Oyashiro? What is that? The name of the shrine's god?
Yes. It's the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. It brings about both miracles and curses. So you must be sure to show respect.
Ah, there it is, that word again. It sounded like a pretty frightening god. Well, when in Rome. I was officially a resident of Hinamizawa now, after all. Doing as Rena showed me, I touched the cotton over myself 3 times. Thank you, Oyashiro. Thank you, Oyashiro. Oyashiro.
This way all the evil that possesses you is sucked out by the cotton. You let it gently drift out away on the stream, and you're done.
Together, Rena and I set out our pieces of cotton afloat on the surface of the water. The flowers of cotton blooming in the water had sucked out all the evil festering in Hinamizawa and drifted off, disappearing into the distance. It was wonderful, like seeing those floating lantern festivals I'd see on TV. The best part, though, was feeling like this was a rite of passage that had made me a true resident of Hinamizawa. While staring off into the stream, I somehow got separated from Rena. I wasn't very lonely, though. I know this place now. This is where I live. My home. It's probably better if I stay here instead of wandering around aimlessly. Someone would surely find me while I was enjoying the evening breeze. I heard a familiar voice. It was Tomitake's. I headed toward it. How'd it go, Tomitake? Were you able to get some good shots? Yeah, fortunately. Tomitake was with a girl. I felt like a little like I was intruding. Okay, her sprite was not in here in the original time, I believe. I forget. Stupid siren, shut up! But like, if I remember correctly, her sprite was not originally in here. I forget. Anyway, if I'm wrong, I don't know. Because I saw somebody else play through this and she wasn't there, I think. I forget. Anyway, how was it, Keiichi? Did you enjoy the festival? From the way she spoke, she seemed like she was a resident of Hinamizawa. I should really try harder to remember people's faces here. What was her name? Well, it was fun. My face must have given away how desperately I was trying to remember her name, because she gave a light-hearted chuckle. It probably hasn't been long since you moved here. It's probably hard to believe seeing how friendly you've gotten with the other kids. If that's how I looked, it was probably all thanks to Rena and Mio. Perhaps you feel more like a resident of Hinamizawa today after taking part in the festival today? I wonder about that. Oh, that's not like you. I try to get used to Hinamizawa, but there's still plenty of things I didn't know. The faces of the people I met, for example. These things that had happened in the past as well. Oh, you're feeling left out because of something like that? It's not so much as feeling left out. It's just, I'm not sure how to say it. That incident at the damn construction site. The fighting over it and other conflicts. That terrible incident they pretended they didn't even know about whenever I brought it up. Even though it was in the past. As someone living in Hinamizawa, it wasn't wrong to want to know about both the good and bad that had happened here. If I'll pull you at ease, then I'll tell you everything I know. Tomitake's smile had made me more relieved than I'd ever been. It was hard to think of what to ask when someone asked me anything, though. Even when there was so much I wanted to ask. Then, could you tell me about what happened when the dam was being constructed? There was a big incident where Hinamizawa was going to be submerged, right? I think the locals would be more knowledgeable about the dam than I am. Well, if you don't mind, I'll tell you what I know. It's only what I read in the newspaper, though. Tomitake's eyes entered an unfocused gaze as he searched through his memory, and then he spoke. The decision to start the dam project was finalized 7 or 8 years ago. I heard it was the next major dam project after Kurobe. There were 3 major issues in Japan at that time. Improving inter-island transportation infrastructure, meaning the higher demand for electricity, and flood control. There was a boom of dam building due to the massive economic stimulus they provided to the top of generating electricity and flood control. Hinamizawa had the right conditions to support dam construction, so it was singled out. The dam reservoir would have covered quite a lot of the ground when it was completed. The entire area up to Yaogochi, way upstream, would be underwater. But why did they have to pick a populated area like Hinamizawa? Couldn't they have instead picked a place where nobody lived? I'm not really sure why, but I heard it was just the right terrain for building a dam. Of course, there were protests here in Hinamizawa. Rika said that there was a battle. From that choice of words, I had guessed that things had turned violent. There was a trial. It was even brought up before the National Diet. It was covered in the Tokyo papers, too. Miyono told me all about that as well. I'm sure every resident of Hinamizawa had united to fight together. The feeling of solidarity found here, which could not be expressed properly with mere words, was likely brought about that battle. As a result, bribery and scandals were brought to light. As things got more and more complicated, they eventually halted construction. If I wanted to know, now was my only chance to ask. It was certainly a bizarre incident that boys my age would be curious about. I felt a little ashamed that, from the fact I was petty enough to have my curiosity piqued by Rena and Mia's refusal to talk about the event. But I figured I might as well ask since I had the chance, just so I would stop thinking about it so much. So, there was a dismemberment, right? There was. It happened right here in Hinamizawa at the time, so I remember it well. Tomitake's answer was nonchalant, in contrast to my hesitantly forced out question. It was about this time 4 years ago. It was the day of Watanagashi, if I recall correctly. Debate on whether to continue construction of the dam project was in disarray. Scandal after scandal rocked the project near the end. The incident was the final nail in the coffin of the dam project. A fight at the dam construction site ended in the victim being murdered. Fearing prosecution, the 6 assailants divided the remains into 6 pieces and hid each one. 5 of the 6 criminals turned themselves in out of guilt, but one of them was still on the run. The right arm he had hidden had yet to be found. The major details line up with what was in the tabloid I had read earlier. It certainly was a tragic incident. But it wasn't so terrible that Rena and Mio needed to hide from me. I guess they didn't want someone who had just moved here to have a negative impression of Hinamizawa. I felt grateful for having friends who worried so much about me, as well as shame for still being so interested in it. It was near the end of the trouble with the dam, you see, so everyone was saying that it was Oyashiro's curse. Oyashiro's curse, huh? Oyashiro was the name of the god that the shrine had held the festival today, if I recall it correctly. I see. The guardian deity rained the divine punishment down on the evil dam construction for trying to flood Hinamizawa. Apparently the younger ones didn't think so, but it seemed that elderly people in the village never doubted that it was Oyashiro's curse. The woman with Tomitake said with a mischievous chuckle. Tomitake began laughing with her. It was so infectious I ended up laughing as well. But I wonder about now. There are quite a few, I think. Amongst the youth, too. A few what? People who believe in Oyashiro's curse. The woman's lips were curled into a smile, but her expression turned stern. And then after that, it continued every year. Always around this time. Continued. What continued? Tomitake paused as if to build suspense. Then he whispered to me as if someone might have been listening. Every year, on the day of the Watanagashi, somebody dies. The year following this memory, on the day of the Watanagashi, a man from Hinamizawa who supported the dam fell off a cliff overlooking some rapids and died while he was on vacation. Unfortunately for his wife, the body was never recovered. He supported the dam construction even though he lived in Hinamizawa. At the time, there were whispers amongst the elderly saying it was Oyashiro's curse. The woman chuckled mischievously again. And the next year, the night of the Watanagashi, the shrine Shinto priest died suddenly from an unknown illness. His wife drowned herself in the bog that night. The shrine Shinto priest? You mean he was from the shrine here? The woman nodded. There was a rumor amongst the villagers that they weren't able to quell Oyashiro's anger. The year after that, again on the night of Watanagashi, they discovered the buried body of a local housewife. Housewife? Up until now, all these mysterious deaths were people involved with the dam or had a connection to Oyashiro. With that in mind, could the housewife have been involved in some way too? Exactly. The woman said slightly. No. It was more menacingly. One of the victim's relatives, you see, was connected to the younger brother of the dam whisperer who fell to his death 2 years before. The younger brother is still alive, it seems, but it did bother him quite a bit, so he moved to the neighboring town. For a while I stood there with my mouth agape. The battle over the dam construction with Hinamizawa's future at stake. Murder at the center of it all. That was all I knew. That was all I wanted to ask about. That wasn't all there is to the story. Homicide, body disposal, accidental deaths, terminal illness, self-termination, fatal beatings. I'm a pretty level-headed person, but I don't want to believe in curses. But the freakish deaths happened every year on that day of Watanagashi, and all of them were related to the dam construction? It's easy to dismiss each of them as coincidences by themselves. But when you put them all together, dismissing all of them as coincidence would then defy logic. I don't believe in curses, but every single year, on the day of Watanagashi, somebody or something makes it happen without fail. The woman chuckled again, as she picked up on what I was thinking. It felt like she was saying, maybe there was. Maybe we frightened him. Stuff like that. I felt embarrassed at being read so easily. I pressed Tomitake to continue, a bit of impatience and irritation in my tone. Then, so someone died the next year, right? So who was it at that time? I wonder. What do you think, Keiichi? The hell? The way he said it, it didn't agree with me. It's a sarcastic tone ticked me off. Don't avoid the question, I'm serious here. Hey, calm down, Keiichi. I realized she tried to calm me down, but I'd been panicking. We weren't trying to avoid the question, Keiichi. It's just when you say the next year, that's today. When she hesitated to say it, Tomitake fished for her. I broke into a cold sweat. I really didn't like the direction this was headed. Nobody wants to speak of it, but they all think it's going to happen again tonight. The festival was so cheerful, though. The victim last year, the housewife, she was a non-believer. Turns out she didn't even attend the Watanagashi festival. There was a rumor going around that if you didn't participate in the festival, you would incur Yashiro's wrath. Didn't you hear anything about this, Keiichi? I never even heard a whisper of that rumor. Then the reason everyone was at the festival was they were afraid of the curse? I figure that must have been the reason. There are a lot more people at the Watanagashi than usual. I guess everyone was just afraid after all. Of course, of Oyashiro's curse. I couldn't utter a single word. In this modern age, where we made progress in all scientific fields, shedding light on the unknown and misunderstood, where black and white television has been eradicated, and we sent men to the moon, even with all of our accomplishments. This can exist in modern society? Oh yeah, Keiichi. Wait until you hear about what happens in 2000s. Tons of invitations were sent out to neighboring towns, youth groups to help pad the numbers. But after the string of events, few decided to join. And municipal committee members were complaining about how hard it was to gather participants. Also, the police are treating each case as isolated. They don't want to believe they're connected. They're trying to keep it quiet, so it's all plainclothes officers. It finally began to dawn on me why Rena and Mio were reluctant to talk. If nothing happened during this Watanagashi, everything would have been over with. I'd be none the wiser. If nothing happened, all would be well. In that case, then all led up to just being crazy talk. I should have just pretended like I knew nothing from the beginning. They would have had to act like nothing happened. We would have all gone back to life as usual. Maybe it was too much for him after all. The woman ran her fingers through her hair as she sighed. No, it wasn't at all. I tried to act strong, but that just served to emphasize how much information had enthralled me. After seeing how I looked, Tomitake appeared to regret saying anything. Then, aside, he then spoke, forcing an awkward, upbeat demeanor. Keiichi, surely you don't believe in such things as curses? Well, no. The cause of all crimes are unknown with the perpetrators, their methods, and all mysteries. Then I think it'd be a work of a curse. But that's not how things are in reality. The police are investigating the evidence and suspects that cover the truth. Hearing him say police made me feel a lot better. It was perfect for repelling the word curse. The first one, the dismemberment, for example, I told you, didn't I? All but one of the perpetrators were arrested. It's only a matter of time for the last one. The motive turned out to be an argument where they had while intoxicated. That's no curse. Would you agree? That was true. If it didn't happen on the day of Watanagashi, I wouldn't think it was related to the curse at all. The accidental death of a man who supported the dam is the same. He was in the position that made others hate him. The police made a point of investigating from that angle. They concluded it was an accident, not foul play. But they both happened on the day of the festival, right? Just think about it, Keiichi. You think people with lots of enemies here in Hinamizawa could participate easily in a local festival? It'd be especially hard for them to be around during Watanagashi. So they probably left Hinamizawa intentionally around this time of year to travel, don't you think? It wasn't a clear explanation, but I sort of understood what Tomitake was getting at. I pressed on earnestly, asking more questions so I could convince myself. Then, Tomitake, what about the priest who died after that? The one with the unknown illness. That also happened on the day of the festival. It's even easier to explain what happened to the Shinto priestess. The Watanagashi was probably a big event that happens once a year. It was probably from all the built-up stress. It may have been because of a pre-existing condition. But it was an unknown illness. It's hard to believe something with an unknown cause could exist with all of our advances in medicine. It's just an exaggeration. Rumors making rumors. Anyone would get worked up over having incidents happen 2 years in a row. A sudden death is quite unnatural. Of course the police ordered an autopsy because of the strange way he died. There wasn't enough for them to open a full investigation, you know. It turns out it was just a sudden death due to illness. The priest's wife ended her life, correct? What about that? I believe I already explained that. Everyone was shaken up by the incidents happening for a third year. Those who were strong faith were quick to believe it was the work of the curse. Of course, that included the priest's wife. Apparently, they found her note. It said something like, "My death will quell Oyashiro's anger." What about the next incident with the housewife? It happened on the day of the Watanagashi, too. The perpetrator has already been caught. The case has been closed. Turns out it was just some nutjob trying to continue the legacy of Hinamizawa's curse. Then, how about the incident next year? Oh yeah. This year is the next year. Tomitake gave a hearty laugh. Nothing will happen. Not this year. There was never a curse to begin with. It's just a group of people believed it was an explanation for a string of coincidences. My internal computer finally got itself back on track. I felt a bit embarrassed by how childish I had become after losing control and panicking. I can see very clearly now that Keiichi really does love Hinamizawa, even if Oyashiro's curse actually exists. Keiichi couldn't bring himself to believe that such a thing existed. I felt very relieved. I should probably just forget everything I heard tonight. I'll greet Rena and Mew tomorrow with the same smile as always. They'd probably also like tonight to end without incident, so they can continue on tomorrow without having worried me. Perhaps seeing my change in attitude, the woman who had been listening in stretched as she got up from the rock she was sitting on. Well then, I should be getting back. Goodness, I think I may have gone on a bit too long. There were so few people compared to the crowd from before, I could only make out a few groups of families enjoying the cool evening air. I looked at my watch. It seemed we talked for the better part of an hour. Did you come along with your friends, Keiichi? Not going to look for them? Oh yeah! They may all be looking for me. Shut up, Car. Nobody cares. Okay. You're quite the scoundrel making the girls look for you. See you, Keiichi. Have a nice night. You too, Jiro. I'll see you a bit later. Tomitake seems to be quite the scoundrel himself, so his name is Jiro. After dusting off her backside, she disappeared into the crowd of people still busy cleaning up the shrine grounds.
Keiichi! So sorry!
In her place, Rena came running over. I could see all the others behind her. Speak of the devil. My bad, Kei-chan. We got so caught up in our discussion. I completely forgot about them when we were caught up in my own conversation, so we were even.
My, so Tomitake was with you? This works out perfectly. We still need to sell the shooting gallery competition.
That's right. So I guess I'm going to end up dead last. In the end, after my dramatic victory, Rika was the last challenger, but there weren't many targets left. The ones remaining were all tiny and difficult to hit. She did take her time and aim, but all 3 shots completely missed. She was to end up sharing the loser's crown with Tomitake. However, she did her little mewing cry in front of the owner, and he turned to mush instantly. She was given a pack of gum as a consolation prize. Her methods were a bit audacious, but she did avoid being the loser rather magnificently. Come to think of it, Rika's quite the trickster.
I have no idea what Keiichi's talking about. Now then, it's to say that Tomitake is dead last.
Everyone cheered and applauded. Tomitake smiled wryly, slightly bewildered. So Tomitake, are you ready? Penalty time! Huh? Oh, I completely forgot about that. You're too naive, Tomitake. This is why our club can never lose. Mia pulled out a felt tip marker from her pocket. Oh, it's that. Show him some mercy, Mia, and at least use a washable marker. A permanent one's too harsh. It just has to be permanent. It comes off when you do the laundry anyway. Oh, whoa. What is this? Please take it easy on me. All of us put his arms behind his back. Mian approached him with a marker in one hand. And she didn't write on Tomitake's face. She wrote on his shirt he was wearing. You better have your big break this year, Mia. Rena took the marker up next.
Show me your photos next time, okay?
Rena. It was a little heartwarming and I just had to laugh.
This is more like a farewell card than a penalty.
Oh, wait. This is more like a farewell card than a penalty.
I'm not as soft as the rest. I'll make sure this is a proper penalty. Ha! Dead last!
Sadako.
Try harder next time.
Rika.
Here you go, Keiichi.
I couldn't decide what to write, but based on what kind of penalty it was, this is probably the most appropriate. Come back and play again, Keiichi. Tomitake was silent the entire time. At first he was quite bewildered, but now he had a different look on his face. Hey, try to remember this moment until the end of the story, okay? It's important. So I have to wear this all the way back to Tokyo as part of the penalty? Of course! You better wear it all the way home!
You can wear it when you come back! It would be nice!
He appeared deeply moved. Embarrassment mixed with a wealth of other emotions made him turn bright red. Understood. I'll wear this next time I come here. I promise. Everyone cheered and applauded. It was the finest parting gift possible for a buddy heading out tonight. I saw the woman who was with Tomitake standing near the festival grounds. It seemed Tomitake noticed her too and knew it was time to leave. Seems like your guest is waiting. Isn't it about time? Yeah, that's certainly how it seems. Tomitake heads off toward her and seemed to apologize for making her wait. We all shouted stuff at Tomitake. Each time we did, he looked back and waved his hand. Eventually he faded into the darkness of the night, out of sight. It was quite the casual farewell. This wasn't the first time any of us had seen someone off. They'd done the same thing many times before.
He's gone.
Well, it's about time we take off too! Rika had to stay behind since the other committee members, since they were having a meeting. Sadako was tagging along with her. I headed back home with the usual suspects. The walk back was quite lively, with the talk of the day's war stories. Should have done this, should have done that, this kind of stuff. Ren and I parted ways with Mio, and then it was just the two of us. We got to my house and parted away with Rena as well. It's already pretty late. Are you alright by yourself?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. It's close. I'm going to run too.
If you run into a weirdo, just yell.
If someone does come, will you come and save me? Maybe? Maybe?
If I hear you.
Hello! Oh, okay. I'll scream loud enough so you can hear me.
Merrily spinning her arms around at high speed, Rena dashed off. She was fine. In that mode, not even an adult could stand against her. Rena's cheerful presence disappeared. It finally became quiet again. That curse that not a single person even whispered about. The more I learned about it tonight, the more unsettling it became. It didn't show on any of their faces, but they were probably all concerned about it as well. But if nothing happens tonight, and it all ends up being crazy talk, nothing will happen. Nothing bad at all. What's wrong, Keiichi? Why are you standing in the place like that? Come inside, you'll catch a cold. Where's my mom? Did you go, Mom? To the Watanagashi festival? And your father didn't wake up, so I missed it. A little disappointing. Mom stuck her tongue out with a bit of embarrassment look on her face. Sorry if it sounded like I was a little bit stuffed up. I had some, my nose was kind of stuffed. I don't feel like giving all the tips, because this is a lot. Because, like, you see that? That's just like 4 tips that just showed up right now. Alright. That's enough reading today. I'm done. Alright. Thanks for showing up. Sorry about the interruptions, but I'll probably edit it in YouTube. So hopefully it won't be so clunky. Goodbye. But, oh yeah. Also, if you like my reading, I am taking some commissions and stuff. And, I also do art and other things if you'd like to check out my stuff. So anyway, goodbye. I mean, I hope you've been checking out that I updated some of my thumbnails on YouTube for the people watching on YouTube. Anyway, goodbye. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.